Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to A Marriage Like That podcast with your hosts, Mick Manhattan and my lovely bride, Mary.
Hello.
How you doing today, Mary?
Oh, I'm peachy.
It has been quite a bit since we've been on... Quite. I say that right, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's been a while.
According to you, you're always right.
Ooh, coming out of the gun.
Guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. You said it correctly, yes.
Well, so it has been a little while. It's the new year. Have we done one since the new year?
I
don't know.
Maybe not.
I don't think
Jeez,
so.
and it's like the 16th, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, we have.
No, we couldn't because we didn't do any year-end reviews, did we?
I don't think you didn't.
I don't think...
Were we going to? Well...
Well, I mean, we
probably
could have.
Wonder about this on live.
Well, why not? It's a part of our lives.
Yeah.
We've had some busy We have busy lives lately. Lots going on. We've changed a lot about ourselves.
We have. Well, not a lot about ourselves, but certain things.
Yeah, I think the last one we did was in December.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, so that was a while back.
Yeah.
But, all right, well, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. God, I feel like I haven't talked to you guys since last decade. Am I right?
The jokes. We had a pretty good New Year. What did we do? We were just hung on home.
Yeah.
We had Jack, so.
Yeah. I mean, we could have got, my parents offered to babysit, but I just have never been, are you sure we did? I feel like we had this conversation, but so.
We've had it with each other.
Like when I was single, I always was like, oh my gosh, tonight it's going to be it. I'm going to go out with some of my friends and I'm going to see them and kind of like how we met, but on New Year's, hypothetically in my head. But it just, as much as I built up any time I went out on New Year's, it always was just, even when I tried something new where I was like, you know what, I'm not going to have any expectation, I'm just going to go out and have a good time, it always sucked. Every single time I went out for New Year's, it just always lacked. And it never was as great as I felt like it would have been.
I don't know that I've had some good ones. But they do always suck around. If you're not with somebody, they always suck around midnight.
Yeah.
Once it gets to midnight, you're kind of like, all right, well, everybody's pairing off. Guess I'll just stay drunk. And I think they were a lot more fun in my 20s.
Stand here awkwardly by myself.
Yeah.
I remember vividly one year, when I lived in Richmond, and we were in the middle of, I don't remember what street we were on, but we were roaming the streets in Richmond. I love Richmond. Roaming the streets of Richmond, and midnight struck, and I think they had a ball that came down, and I just vividly remember literally every single person around me was kissing someone, and I was just standing there, looking around, well, all right.
That happens the best of us. You got to get there early. You gotta stake your
we
claim.
were there early.
Got to stake that
I had
claim.
3 guys lined. I was like, all right, maybe him. Nope. Big fat 0. 0 Mary. New Year's 18.
So sad. You didn't even kiss me on New Year's. You were like, I'm going to bed.
I did so.
I
Shut
know.
up.
I'm kidding.
But I will say, the first couple of New Year's that I had Tommy, it was after so many years of it being sucky.
No.
My favorite thing was watching the ball drop, because now we don't have Tommy on New Year's ever.
Yeah.
Which I get, because, he only has so much time that he gets to spend with his dad, so I understand why we don't have him during that break, but the first couple of years, when he was really super little, the ball would drop and I would sneak into his room and I'd pick him up, his little baby, and, just give him a sweet little kiss and put him back to bed.
Well, you're running out of time with Jack on that, though.
Oh my God.
Because he's not going to be a sweet little one.
He
He's
will.
getting big.
He is already not a sweet little one. He is gigantic and does whatever he wants, whenever he wants.
Yeah.
Literally, even if it's for 1 millisecond, As long as it's what he said that he wanted to do, he is going to do it before he listens to anything either one of us says. What was it tonight? You told him, you were like, don't do that. And so he did it really quick and then listened to what you had told him to do.
I don't remember. I told him not to do a lot of things and he kept doing them. So we have to kind of whittle that down to what exactly was he doing that he wasn't supposed to. Even with dinner, like
I think it was bingo. I think he was playing with the bingo game. You told him not to put his hand in.
But even like dinner, I was trying to feed him his vegetables, and like, I don't want them. And then he takes a pee and he goes to drop it in my drink. What are you doing? And he's just looking at me the whole time, like, I'm gonna do this.
Yep, I'm in charge. I'm the captain now.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do?
But again, like we talked about earlier, I think it will, because I mean, when he wanted to play the game and I told, you give him options. All right, you want to do this? Well, these are your two other options. That one's not on the table, but you can either come sit with me or you can go to bed. Which one? So you still give him power or make him think he has some sort of power, but
he was a trip.
Kid, dude, he is a trip. He's a trip. But,
he's really into the music.
Yeah, because today was his first. So Tommy started basketball this week. He has practice, and his games will be on Tuesday and Thursdays in the evening. And then Jack has music.
Don't give these jackals too much information.
Oh my God, that's true. Well, no, but it just goes to show how busy we've been. I'm not telling them where.
I can imagine how many parents.
Okay, they are playing they are doing something on maybe 2 days during some weeks.
You've already said it.
Well, we can edit that out. Just remind me I'll remind you at the end.
In post. Knock it out in post.
Knock it out in post.
No, I
that sounds official.
It definitely... It is crazy, the schedule.
Yeah. It's good, though. Keep him busy.
I'm so... I don't know. I'm almost fearful of what the schedules will become with two of them.
Yep.
And they're like... I have an uncle who has 4 girls and they all play something.
No.
So like... Always running around. And I had another uncle who had 3 girls and they all played basketball. At certain points they played for different teams. Like, and it's like dropping one off here and then going to the next one and then going to the next one and then like having to pick up when and like coordinate with other parents and stuff. I'm like, I don't ever want to do that.
You made that explicitly clear when we met, and I was like, good luck.
I do
good
not
luck
want to
not
do
putting
this.
these kids in sports. Well, what about my sister? She has 5 kids. Trying to run all around and do swimming and band and...
That is shooting yourself in the foot.
Well, even...
After kid number 1...
Oh my gosh.
You have to think about this.
Well, no, but, so since, I guess, the last time we were on... I don't remember if we did it before or after I moved. I guess it was after I switched jobs, but... Now, when I went to leave, one of my old coworkers asked me, she was like, are you leaving because you're going to have another kid? I was like, no, I'm not going to be outnumbered, first of all.
Yeah.
And that also falls in line with, I wasn't going to be outnumbered for sports, because with 2, at least, one of us can be there.
Yeah.
If there was 3, well, because I still remember vividly my dad, because I had 2 older sisters, he would take us out because he worked a swing shift. So some days he would take us to the playground, and he had that big old video recorder that you plop on your shoulder, and he would be taking videos of us on like Margaret and Michelle are on the seesaw, and then he's trying to do my seesaw with his foot because I was just sitting there by myself because I didn't have anyone to play with.
God. No wonder your New Year's are like that. Like, you just like knew that. That's what you're like, 1 foot on the seesaw. See,
poor Mary.
But look at it this way. I remember all the games my father went to.
The one
that he had to go to, and he expressly he expressed with a lot of contention. That's a word, right?
Contention. And not an M.
Yeah, right. Contention about having to drive me to this game and be there, and got so annoyed by it. It's like, okay, why are you coming? You haven't come to anything else. Like, just don't come.
Yeah.
But Yeah, so
But
that was
being
fun.
younger, I'm sure that's not. I mean, looking back now, I'm sure that's how you felt. But can you really say that that's how you felt at the time, or were you like, yes, he's finally coming to one, even if he would have
He
barked
made
the
fun
whole
of me the
time?
whole time.
I know, but just I'm asking, like, as a young son, was there any part of you that was like, oh, he's finally coming, or
Oh
was
yeah,
it?
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
you always, like, I'm the third. Like, I have two older brothers from his previous marriage, and we have a younger sister. And I remember always going to George's games, like his football games, his wrestling matches, his lacrosse games, his soccer games, his baseball.
What
all
about
that
the
stuff.
other one?
AJ didn't do too much.
Mm.
He always said he did. He never really played any sports. He was good at them. He just never played, or he just never told anybody when he had them.
Yeah.
But
God,
so
that's crazy. We had to tell my parent everything. I mean, even now, if my mom doesn't hear from me, she's like, I thought you were dead in the ditch. And now, if I don't hear from her, now it's reverse psychology, where I'm like, you have to call me. She's like, I am a grown woman. I was like, I don't care. You check in with me.
it's funny because it is, yeah, that is very much a relationship with your parents. And then I look on the other end of it, and like when you come home from work, and like nobody's at the door to greet you, and that kind of bums you out sometimes. Sometimes you're like, I gotta go, leave me alone.
Bathroom. I have a really long commute home. So yeah.
But sometimes you get bummed out about it, and I'm just like, oh no. I have always, my entire life, been told, like, you don't greet mom when she walks in. You leave her alone for at least 30 minutes and let her settle. And that was as a kid, and that all went into adulthood. So I'm like, oh no, just stay away. Like that's what it is. You just stay away.
And it's funny because we actually did recently have this somewhat. I didn't know that part of it, but you told we were talking about when the kids kind of rush me at the door, which is it is the highlight of my day. I mean, I think about you guys all day long.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, usually you're doing laundry or cooking or on your phone, whatever, taking a break. I mean, understandably, and they have a lot of energy. So we were talking, and you were like, boys, let your mother come in, like, leave her alone. And I was like, no, they should be allowed. But now that makes sense because you didn't share that part about
That's fair.
you not greeting your mom.
Oh yeah, my upbringing was a lot different.
Which you remind us of often.
Yeah, well, you need to learn.
We don't need to learn.
These kids need to understand.
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
They do.
No, they don't.
Agree to disagree.
No.
I think they should at least
I
have
disagree.
an understanding where, like, and I'm not saying at 7 and 3, but I'm saying, like, when they get older, they should have an understanding of, like when I brought you to my old neighborhood. Like, I felt
Let's
like
get
you
out and walk around. Hell no.
Yeah, you
Lock those doors.
I told you I grew up in the ghetto, and you did not believe me until I
did
brought
not
you.
believe you. Every time you would tell the story, I was like, psh, yeah,
You
right.
you used to make fun of me with my friends back in the day.
Yes.
When we first started
So I
getting
was
together.
just admitting.
No, I know, but I'm just like kind of reiterate the point because you're
Because you have to reiterate it.
for the mic. So I don't want to
For the mic or for the mic?
for the mic for the mics. So yeah, you guys used to make fun of me a lot, like
so
the ghetto,
hard.
the ghetto.
All right, Mike.
And then that's why I was like, well, we're here. Let's go.
And I remember I was like, where are we? And you're like, I'm going to park here. I was like, why are you stopping the car?
Yeah. You were so upset. And I was like, what are you talking about? I used to walk these streets when I was a child.
Gosh, no.
So, and that was pretty funny. But, like, just to kind of have that. And do you not think that I'm going to bring the boys one day?
When they're older.
Oh, when they have an
21,
understanding. No,
sure.
when they're like teenagers and it's like, hey, how's that Switch working out for you? Or how's that PlayStation 27 or whatever it is at that time?
Right.
And it's just like, hey, come check this out.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like,
If it even is still around. We can and actually now we can take them to Montclair in Woodbridge because now that's apparently like an MS-13 haven. which used to be like the hoity-toity place that...
But you can't take them to a place that you don't know. Now, you may know the neighborhood, but if the neighborhood has changed... Like, so if I went and I brought them to where I grew up, and I said... And it was all gentrification, and everything changed, and now it's all built up, I'd be like, I do not know this place. This is not where I grew up.
Well, no, I mean, nothing really in Montclair has changed. It's just the residents have changed.
Yeah.
So...
But they weren't there when you grew up. They did,
yes. There was an MS-13 raid. Did I never told you the story?
Oh, I'm sure. I've heard that about
and Margaret were home. Like, my dad, nobody else, I don't think my dad could not have been home. I definitely was not there. I think I was stationed, I think it was when I was in the Air Force. And I just remember, like, my mom saying, like, there was, because it was the house behind us, like, directly behind us. And so all of the cops were parked on our street.
Oh, God.
And I remember my mom woke up, or Margaret woke up someone, and then they went outside and they were like, you have to tell us what's going on! And they were like, get back in the house! Like, flanking both sides of the house with their big machine guns or whatever, you know, the SWAT team uses. And, yeah. Can you imagine Rosemary? No.
Oh, yeah.
To find out that it was an MS... No.
How's she still alive? I thought her head would have exploded off that.
Oh my gosh. I think her heart might have stopped.
But
mine definitely would have stopped.
I think the boys always need to have some sort of understanding of, like, where we grew up.
That's fair. However, it's kind of like using the I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. Like, if you keep using, well, I was XYZ, like, it kind of loses its luster. You know,
it doesn't if you show
them. That.
See, like, I grew up in my father's...
show them?
I grew up in my father's neighborhood.
Whipping them?
So, like, when my father would drop me off at my grandmother's house, that was his neighborhood where he grew up. You know? So, like, it was kind of like, drive 10 blocks this way, you know, and you were there. So, like, I had that understanding. He never had to go back and be like, well, this is where I grew up, you know.
No, but what I'm saying is, now when you tell them, because every time they express something, you're like, well, I used to get thrown through a wall, or, like, it just...
Cabinets.
It loses its...
Closet door.
Effectiveness. Like, you need to reserve it for...
The right moments.
The right moments.
Alright, fair.
Because then they're just like, oh, whatever, Mike. Yep, you had a horrible childhood. We've heard this story before.
It wasn't exactly horrible. I had some good moments.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Well, then you need to also shine on those as well. It doesn't always have to be the bad ones that you point out.
Like, whenever, I want this for my birthday. Birthdays are nice.
God. Do you know how many times I got birthdays taken away from me?
I should be like 13 right now. You're a pedophile.
Awesome. Awesome. And I'm not allowed to cuss so that we don't get knocked on whatever
explicit rating.
But now I'm a pedophile. Awesome.
You're not a pedophile because I'm not actually 13.
Good.
Those birthdays still count even if they were taken away.
Oh, okay.
So I wouldn't worry about it.
Well, I mean, mental age, probably 13.
Yeah, well, then that's even worse.
Yeah.
But anyway,
right.
My mental age is getting better because I've started fixing myself.
You have been improving.
I started a new regiment.
I
don't want to say it. Yeah, it was more a lifestyle. Well, that's what I was.
Yeah.
That's what I was going back on. I wasn't pedaling back on the word. I was pedaling back on the
implication of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a diet. I mean, we're just It's funny. So Rosemary, my mom, which for some reason I feel like it's more effective when you go, well, Rosemary said, for months she's been trying to get us to watch these documentaries on like What the Health, or what was the other one with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
That was The Game Changer.
The Game Changer, and she was like, oh, your father and I will never eat meat again.
Oh,
and
my
it is
God.
a travesty, and how can you put that in your body? You can't feed that to the children.
That was October, too, because I remember we were having the Halloween party, and we fed the kids some Skittles, and your mom went nuts about Skittles, and, like, how they cause cancer and everything. And I was like, yeah, but you tell the kids that. Like, they're Skittles. They're still awesome.
Right.
And then your sister and I were laughing about them, and like, they don't eat meat, they don't eat Skittles.
Right.
Like, what is going on?
God.
And
but we finally, but We finally did.
Yeah. Well, I started changing it up a little bit before we watched it. It was
Yeah.
That was sort of a, all right, I'm ready to watch this now
Mm-hmm.
because when we would go out to restaurants, I was trying to eat better
Mm-hmm.
because
Which is really hard to do when you go out to eat at a restaurant or order takeout.
But when I was doing, my digestive system would just be messed up all the time, and I was like,
Well,
I gotta
because when we
stop.
lived in the old house, I mean, pretty much every meal we had was takeout in one way or another.
I still don't, doing the budget. I still don't know how we afforded that.
Dude, well, I mean, we're paying off the credit cards that
Yeah.
allowed us to afford that, but
Yeah.
no, and because again, I feel like I am very smart. I am a very smart person.
Yeah.
I have grown extraordinarily in my career. You know, I've gone really far. I am a person that people come to for advice. However, I was like, I got a paycheck. I paid these bills that are on paper. Look at all this extra money we have.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend it. And then 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh, I need gas. I don't have any money. Like, it never clicked for me, that budget thing.
Well, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing about budgets, and a lot of people, that's where they kind of shoot themselves in the foot, or they fail, or in that sense. And I don't want to say fail, but they kind of knock themselves down with it, is because they think that they're stupid towards it. They think they're money. They think they're just stupid in general, and it's like there's difference.
Oh, I never said I was stupid.
And it's not money. Yeah, but you said you were very smart, and you are. But sometimes having the money and the compulsions of buying because you have money, people take as, well, I'm stupid with money.
Right.
I don't know how to save. I don't know how to budget. Anybody can save and budget. It's a matter of just addition and subtraction.
Yeah, and sticking to it, and sticking to your guns.
Well, I think once it's in front of you, and that was always why, like when doing budgets on film, on movies and stuff like that, it turned around and it always made it easier. Like it always clicked for me when I would do them. It's like, well, we have this much. That's how much this costs. That's how much this costs. That's how much this costs. It's not going over, it's going under, and I always kept within my budget, like sometimes under.
Which is a huge thing to say.
Oh, yeah, in the film industry especially, because there's always a need for more, and it's like, no, this is what we agreed upon, this is what you get, and make it work.
Let's figure it out,
And if the director or somebody else comes to you and says, because you're that line between the producers and everybody else, above the line or below the line, and the production managers, so, or line producer, if you will, so when you're doing the budgets, and it's almost like you have to be strict. Like if a director goes to costuming and is like, I want this, and that costs out of budget, or whatever, or goes somewhere else and is like, I want this, it's your job to get within line and make it work. And now how that translates to life, and like starting to do the budgets now for us, and having shown other people.
Well, you've been doing it for a while, you're not just starting.
Well, about 6 months.
Yeah.
But but we've been together 5 years, so picking up with
and
it now.
And I was very embarrassed also.
I'm not speaking to embarrass you.
But I'm admitting that.
Yeah.
Like, so if anybody's, out there struggling, it was way easier, and it felt so, like there was a huge sigh of relief after I was like, I need help. I can no longer try and figure this out because we are drowning.
Yeah, and one takeaway, I hope, like if anybody is listening to this and is having similar issues, like credit card debt or anything else, take away from is now is the time to say something.
Right now.
So like, because like Mary and I have talked about it in the past, and it's like, oh man, if you had, not to blame you, but if you had just come to me earlier, I probably could have fixed this, and this.
Sure.
But it's still on our plate. We'll work with it. We'll figure it out.
And we're even in only 6 months, we are doing way better. So like, don't put it off.
There's savings, like which, if you asked me in July or August, would we have a saving? Like, would we have money that's coming in that will be savings? No.
No.
And we're working. Like I would never, because like August was a very stressful month because it was really when I picked up with it, and it was the first month I had it, and it was like trying to figure it out, and we didn't have enough to get to the next month, and so, but then we turned it around because we do have enough of our income to pay what we need, and it was about bringing things back.
Eating out, mostly.
Eating out took it
it
down
was...
big time, because we still don't spend as much in a month going to the store, and we still go to the store a couple of times a month.
Even sometimes a couple of times a week, we'll go to the
store. That's to pick up little things.
Sometimes.
But I mean, like, your overall grocery budget of, like, monthly, like, you know, there's, like, 2 huge purchases maybe, like, throughout the month. Sometimes 1, and it lasts us.
Sometimes 3.
We never really gotten to 3.
This month.
Well, December was a little different.
But even in January, having changed our diet and changing our lifestyle, I think we've had 3 pretty big ones, because you went today, and that was a pretty big one. You went just a couple of days ago, and that was a pretty big one. And then we had the one before that where I had you get all the stuff where I made
we're picking up on things, and also but that's a new thing that we're figuring out. That's a new lifestyle change, and once that comes down and kind of we can figure out what we need to get, because like it was kind of an overhaul. So like when you do an overhaul like that,
it's hard.
It's going to come in and it's going to be a lot more money.
Because we need a lot of ingredients like nutritional yeast. I mean, who in their right mind has nutritional yeast in their pantry?
But if you think about everything we spend about $400 a month in the store. We have only spent maybe a little over $400 this month, and we're pretty good. We're in the 16th already. You know, going forward and such. So we spend a little bit over that. We have all our bills paid. You know, we pay them early. Just to build the credit
early.
back
It's crazy.
up.
I know.
Yeah. So, and that's why I'm so adamant about that, because I know you said no if you pay it early. It does make a difference if you pay it early. Trust me, it does, especially in the credit card area.
Agree to disagree.
You can agree to disagree all you want, but you see your credit going up.
That's fine, but on a credit report, all it says is yes on time or no late. There is no E for early payments. That was the point I was making. Okay.
Regardless, you see your credit score going up, don't you?
Because I make my payments on time.
All right. Anyway, so if you guys are in trouble, now it's never too early. Like, and always sit down and have a plan. It's never too late. Well, no, it's never too early either. Like, if you're trying to hide it or something, it's like start it as early as you can. Start it now, then rather than for the next 6 months try and figure out and buy scratchers and try and figure out how you're going to get out of this. There's a plan to it, and there's a good plan to it.
And if anybody out there needs help or wants
message us or comment,
hints,
I mean, I'm more than happy to send you some hints and stuff on how to kind of build yourself up.
Because I absolutely needed the help. I mean, and again, you know, I was a single parent. I lived by myself. I made it work, but you know, when it got.
But it's not just that. Even when we were together, we were spending so much.
Correct.
You know, and even with 2 paychecks, like we always found ourselves like paycheck to paycheck, like maybe even a couple of days before paycheck.
Right.
And
then with rent, I mean, it was just crazy.
It wasn't even rent. It was like mortgage. You know, so like.
Well, no, in the townhouse it was rent. So
but even then, compared to this, it was astronomical. You know. But like, you know, we figure it out and we went from there and got it situated. So it's working out. So like when it comes to that, you know, always get help as soon as you can. Don't be ashamed. It's happening to everyone in this country, let alone the world.
I know.
Just get help. There's and sit down and write down everything you spend money on. If you spend money, a good start would be write down all of your bills, how much they cost, and how much you owe. So if you have a credit card bill and you owe $7,000, write down $7,000. Write down the minimum payment,
and write down what the APR is.
Yes, so you know the percentages. But if you don't understand APR, some people don't. Just write down the number. Write down how much you owe and how much the minimum is, so you can go from there. You know, and we can get to the APR later. You know, you can always worry about that later. But think about that. Write down what your income is. Everything that comes in a month, write it down. If it's different or it fluctuates every month, write that down. The biggest thing is save all your receipts and figure out an average of how much you're spending eating out and things like that. And then take that versus how much you're spending at the grocery store. You know, and it will come together. And I don't want to dwell on it too much. Like I said, if anybody needs help, they can always message us, and happy to help in any way.
No judgments, because been there.
But just once you write everything down and add it up, everybody has a calculator on their phone.
Yeah.
Just use it.
Yeah.
And then get on your calendar and write down everything and when it's due.
Mm-hmm.
And just know that information. If you have that information in front of you at all times, and every time you spend something, write it down. This month I spent this on this and this on this. Did I pay the bills? Yes, these bills are paid. And you'll be good. It'll work out.
See, that's the thing I think that a lot of people today struggle with, is that back in the day, people would call that balancing your checkbook.
Mm-hmm.
And now that
There's
it's
no
online, right? So,
but there is a good net. Is like your bank will balance your accounts for you, so you can always go back.
But they don't have what's due. You know what I mean?
No. But that's why you got to do it for yourself, of course. But and also it's good to stay ahead. You always keep ahead of everything when you put it on. So like when we pay our trash bill, that's once a quarter. So I know that like December 31st it was due. So last December's budget changed, so we owed this.
Right.
And I added it to that. So then I knew how much more we were doing. I knew we had a Christmas party, stuff like that. So always fluctuate through month to month. Don't just come up with a budget and be like, this is what it is.
Right.
Fluctuate with how your life changes each month. That being said, let's move on from that, because I don't want to talk about numbers anymore.
Well, so
but we are changing our diet, and that has been changing our budget.
Yes, and we've been doing that for quite some time. But I feel like recently it got, we went from like sleeping together to like engaged with changing our diet.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I'm eating less now because I'm intermittent fasting.
Right, but you're also eating different stuff.
Because no.
Even before, when you would intermittently fast, right before your fast was over, you were like, this is going to be my last meal, like, or whatever, and you would...
That's because I went about it stupid.
No,
I went about it uninformed.
Correct.
And, like, I was listening to a friend who was doing it, and he was doing it the right way.
Right.
But I wasn't getting all the information.
Right.
I was like, I just don't eat for this amount of time. And then I think it was 10 and 12 I was doing, which is not one that they suggest.
Right.
And I was like, I'll just do 10 and 12. And then when I'm eating for the 10 hours, I'll eat whatever I want because I can. And then you find out, like, no, you're going to counter act everything you're doing by eating certain things. So now, and plus I've wanted to change to a plant-based diet. Not fully. I mean, there are things I want to eat. Like we went to a restaurant the other day and there was some bacon and I ate some of the bacon. I'm okay with that because I ate some bacon on that day.
Big breakfast. It's nice to have bacon or sausage.
Yeah.
And like maybe if we find a good substitute one day, but right now I also would like to have.
But like we had ham for Thanksgiving, we had ham for Christmas, and I found myself
we had
like
for Christmas.
We had turkey, but we had ham like a few days before at the Christmas party. Sorry, so like we had all this stuff, and I was like, I don't want meat anymore. I'm done. Like I don't want to eat this meat at all, and not that it wasn't good, but I was like, I'm just sick of it.
Yeah.
And when we go to restaurants and I get like plant-based cheesesteaks or plant-based
the Impossible Burgers,
stuff like that, or other stuff that's vegetarian, like when we go to the Alamo, stuff like that, I'm like, I don't feel terrible when I leave. If I eat a red meat burger, I feel terrible.
Yeah.
And I feel terrible all night, and it affects my sleep and everything else. So with the intermittent fasting, I'm like condensing everything down, and like I'm eating less, and then I'm also on top of that I'm trying to eat. I haven't completely cut out sugars yet, but I'm getting there. So, but I do think like this is gonna work out. Like
sugars are a big thing. I've really cut out soda a lot. I mean, I had a little one today, but I didn't have as big of one as I usually have, and
because I'm a fat guy that has been dealing with being fat for so long, and I've tried everything. I've tried South Beach. I've tried Abs Diet. I've tried everything. I've worked out on the insanity thing. Yeah. I've done everything. And like I'm, going to the gym twice a day. Yeah. And it's never really came off the way I wanted to. Like it would come off, like I'm not saying exercise doesn't work. Mm-hmm. I'm not even saying those diets didn't work, but those diets weren't lifestyle changes. They were like, be on a diet, and then after 6 months I'm like burned out.
Yeah.
And I go even bigger than I was when I started. With this, it's just kind of like controlling. It's not telling. I'm not telling myself like you can't eat that, you can't eat that, like because I
It's
will.
more like you should eat this instead. This
Yeah.
is, better, and it's fueling your body with what is going to make your body run better, especially getting older too. I've noticed because, so I've never. I mean, it is what it is. Like when I got pregnant, with my kids, I gained a ton of weight, and
Not a lot anywhere but the belly.
No, I gained it. Looking at it was in the face. It was in the thigh. I mean, it was a lot, but thankfully it came off really easy.
Yeah.
Mostly because I smoke cigarettes. I'm not gonna lie. Like that was a huge thing because I would always be like, all right, I'm hungry. What do I want to eat? Well, I'm gonna go have a cigarette and think about it, and then I would lose my appetite. So I just wouldn't eat as much or anything. So it was no way healthy at all where I was at for my entire adult life, if I'm going to be honest with myself. But, it's been about 5 months, going on 6, that I've quit smoking, and I have gained, and it really felt like it was overnight. Like, I felt like it was fine for, like, the first couple of months, and then all of a sudden I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, I've gained a lot of weight.
Well, it was very weird too because listen, by no means are you like fat. You've gotten thicker, and now the weird thing to me is like because it's been very concerning for you, and I understood. I get it.
It's not right.
I understand,
and I'm not saying that.
But like being like obese and being huge, and being unattractive, you like from me. Like when you were like, oh, I've gained so much weight, I'm like, I don't know, like your butt looks good, like it kind of looks good. Like I definitely noticed that you've gotten thicker, but I wouldn't say you're like fat. I wouldn't point that out. But what was concerning to me was in October, you could see your ribs, and that concerned me.
Legit.
You were so thin.
Yeah.
That not even thin. You were, but you were like skinny.
Oh, it was.
And it was like it made me nervous.
Even when I would lay on my stomach and you would rub my stomach, you were like, babe.
Yeah, like it felt. I was like, I could, like, I don't know. I was like, I felt like I could put a paper clip on your, on your belly.
Not good.
Like that's how thin you
and
were.
I ate. Like I didn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't moderating my food intake. Being anorexic and bulimic are serious mental, physical, but I didn't suffer from those. It was literally, I smoked cigarettes and it messed with my
And you had a job where you were on the go constantly, so you were always going. Job. And then, like, you were getting ready to leave in December, and that's when the weight started kind of coming on. It seemed like when you slowed down at that job.
That's true.
And, like, I mean, it's also the holidays. Holiday weight is a true thing.
It is.
From October to December, January.
Yeah.
That's why everybody goes to the gym, because it was like you put on that holiday weight.
But I noticed all of a sudden, none of my pants fit me.
Yeah, and that's a good indicator.
All of my shirts were super... Even my sweatshirts, even my sweatpants, jeans that I could put on without buttoning them.
Yeah.
I could, let me tell you, just because you can zip up a pair of jeans does not mean that they fit. But, I didn't want to just, do a fad diet or do, I also recognize that, now that I took this one step, becoming healthier, stopping smoking, I was replacing that with other unhealthy vices, candy and, food and just eating all the time because I was trying to curb these cravings, which thankfully have subsided, but I do have a sweet tooth. So, I was glad when you also wanted to kind of go a little bit healthier so that, because I always told you, it's easier if we do it together. Especially the smoke. I mean, it took me almost a year. September, October. Like a month. It would have been a month that you had smoked. You had stopped smoking a year.
Yeah, you quit in August and I quit. September was a year for me.
Yeah, exactly. And let me tell you, my biggest fear in that year was that you were going to start again because I was smoking.
No,
because if you had started again, I don't think I could have quit.
Yeah.
So now that we're, even going one step further and becoming more, just cognizant of what we're doing to our bodies, because we're getting old.
And
we can't
things slow
treat them
down.
the way, yeah.
Yeah, and but also is like just kind of getting, like having friends with cancer and things like that, and like at this age, in our 30s, and it's like this stuff comes
Almost
up more and
40s.
more with so much bad food out there, and it's right out there just to do the research. And like I said, I'm fat and I'm trying, but that's just kind of where it's at right now. But it's an exciting time too, because like again, like I said, I'm not fully on board and invested of giving up everything right away.
Sure. Which
But
I don't think you should,
with
honestly.
the intermittent fasting, like I don't want to eat as much.
Right.
I find myself only needing two meals, and I still have a snack, but eventually that snack's going to go away. And the snacks
and
have gotten
less. I mean, there were sometimes I was like, I would, and of course I wasn't going to say anything, but I was scared. It's like, oh my gosh, the amount of food,
Well, it was funny, like the past few days, when you would see like 8 o'clock coming out, and that's my cutoff. And really, your fast starts right after you finish your last meal.
Right.
So it just picks up again at 12 o'clock the next day. So going that route, like it would be like 6:30, 7 o'clock, and you're like, babe, you got to eat. And I was like, well, I did eat. I ate at like 5. Yeah, but it's going to be 8 o'clock, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm not hungry.
Right.
And it
gets
to that point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I always ate late, and I think just doing this is helping me. I have more energy. Like I was down on the floor today playing with Jack. I didn't have a problem getting up.
Yeah.
My knees didn't feel like they're
Oh
going
my
to give
gosh,
out.
when I go lay with Jack, and I, so glad you, so when I lay with Jack, and I go to get up, I used to have to roll over, because I couldn't like lift myself out of bed without waking him up. But the past couple of days, because I found there was like 2 or 3 30-day challenges that I'm also doing for like planks and burpees. I can lift my torso up with my ab muscles that are still somewhere under there. They're forming somewhere. But I was like, yeah, I felt like Rocky at the top of the steps. I was like, yes! I'm awesome, because I can lift myself up out of the bed.
But I think it was good too. Like you doing the workouts in front of the kids, and like eating.
They all got into it, yeah.
Eating the soy burgers is helping out more, because like we ate that tonight for dinner, and like the other night the other day you made me a great salad, which was really good.
The hot dogs.
No, I wasn't a big fan, but I do think I don't think those hot dogs
Correct.
are good.
Oh,
I think we can find others, and I want to
Yeah.
try others.
Yeah.
But
I can make that salad again tomorrow, because we still have some kale.
good, I like that.
Yeah, it was good.
And
I still need
then
to try the tofu scramble that I made.
it's so weird that I will. I've had tofu before, so I don't have a problem with tofu. But it's so weird that what do you call it? Tofu. Like I've had tofu before. It doesn't bother me. It's just tasteless unless you put something on it, or you cook it in a certain way with some kind of seasoning. Yes, but it just doesn't bother me. Like there was a guy I went to college with who ate tofu constantly all the time, and it was very weird. But he helped it. It helped him lose weight and such. But I really think you should even try intermittent fasting.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe change up the hours for yourself, because you
Well,
don't eat that late anyway.
I wake up at 4 or 5, depending on the day, and I still don't eat until 9 or 10.
I think the biggest thing for you is having to give up the wine.
What wine?
You have wine sometimes, like a glass or so,
No,
but
I
you
don't.
can't have it past your
Right.
anything. The only thing with calories you can drink are tea,
Right.
green tea, and coffee, black
Right.
coffee. So I can see where like to rest and unwind with a glass of wine when you get home from work.
Well, I could change the hours and do it a little bit later, but I also don't like to drink in front of the kids.
No, I get that.
I like to wait till they both are in bed before.
You know who used to drink in front of their kids? My dad.
Yes, I did know that.
No, I just. But
It's not funny.
no, but I get that. But like, and especially when we sit there and watch our movies and stuff like that, you like to have a glass of wine, and I get that. And like, because there were times I liked to eat something, but now I'm just trying to be more regimented with it. But
well, and the wine, I think, was a big part of that, because I don't know if you noticed, but the past 2 nights, I did not have any wine.
I don't know. I didn't notice. But in fairness, like the past 2 nights, I've been like crashing
Correct.
very early
But I
because
did
I'm
not.
sick.
You know, because, well, I didn't have any, but I purposefully did not go and get any. Because I was like, you know what, I think I'm... But, like, you know, it was Friday, and you were going to the store,
Oh, yeah,
it was
yeah.
going to be whatever. But, no, you know, a lot of... You know, I'm not going to lie. A lot of that wine was the stressfulness of my job and coming home and, like, not being able... Because, like, I always felt... And I did notice after I quit smoking...
Well, we
know,
should preface all this by saying, like, you have like a glass or two.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so everybody's not thinking like, well, was she drinking like a whole
Right.
bottle? Like, no,
No.
she has like a glass or two a night.
Right. Right.
So I just wanted to preface that.
No, I, you know, after feeling nauseous during pregnancy, like throwing up is my least favorite thing to do, and then suffering vertigo, where it was like having the drunk spins without the pleasure of tasting any alcohol. Like, I'm good. I have a glass. I hardly even ever get tipsy.
Remember when I gave up drinking?
You never drink.
Yes, I did. Well, I drank like a fish. Like, it's funny because my brother had said this the other day when we were together. Oh no, continue.
No, I'm just saying.
No.
Since I met you, you've been drunk 1 time.
Well, but that happened.
And you weren't even, and I wasn't even with you that night.
No.
So, like, when you
we're
say,
getting to that
remember, I gave up drinking, I never have known you to be a drinker.
In fairness, I was a drinker. I
Right,
would drink like
true.
30
You
to
told me.
45 beers a night.
Mm-hmm.
Just
And you're
to
a
get
big guy.
Because that
So
is what
much.
would get me, not even drunk, like
Tipsy.
buzzed,
Right.
you know? Because I am 6'8", and I am 300 pounds, you know, more now, but like at the time, so it took, and like I was a drinker, I just drank all the time. And then we got to, then I got my first hangover. I never had a hangover until
Boy.
I think I was about 34.
Oh my gosh.
How old were we when we met? I'm
I don't know.
37 now. So maybe it was right.
Are you only, oh my God, you are only 37. Well, we met 5 years ago, so it was, you were 32?
Alright, so then maybe it was 30 or 31 I got my first hangover.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't happen often, but when I got really hammered, I get a hangover.
Yeah.
I remember I started feeling it after my grandmother passed away, and we had an Irish funeral, so like we got hammered, and I felt like a hangover, and I was like, this is what a hangover is?
Oh my gosh.
I'm done.
Yeah.
And so I would drink once, I would get obliterated drunk once, maybe twice a month. And that was when I was with people I trusted.
Yeah.
And that's how that would go. So my last time getting hammered drunk was with my brother. That night, it was like a month after we met.
Yeah. Is that the strongest ship in the fleet night?
It was George's birthday.
Yeah.
That's my brother. So like, for anybody's listening.
I know who George is.
For whoever's listening. That, you know, it was his birthday, and he was like, come out, we're getting hammered.
Yeah.
I was like, game on, let's do it. This will be my one night of the month, and I do it. And I got hammered drunk to a night where again, like, I don't drink often. I do this once a month now. It's not like I used to be where I would drink every night. So it didn't take long.
Yeah.
I think 20 beers and you know, some shots and stuff, and I was done. They load me into well, the first no, it wasn't Uber, it was taxi service. They called a taxi and said, send the biggest one you got. So I send a minivan, and I barely speak. I'm like, oh, take me home.
Because you're a happy, so it's
I'm
not
a happy
like
drunk, yeah. So
texting all your friends and
my brother tells the driver, he's like, here's his address, here's $20, and I only live like 6 blocks away.
You're really close.
So he's like, this better be enough, or he might rip the door off your car. And I wouldn't. I never would. Even drunk, I wouldn't. So he lets me out, and I'm like, did he give you enough? And like, I'm ready to give the guy money, and the guy's scared. He's like, no, I have enough. Get out. So he kicks me out, and I'm like, whatever. and I'm leaving. I walk. I think I left like the side door of the van open, and that dude just drove away.
Yeah.
And I go on my back porch, and that's when I'm like texting people, and I'm called you.
Mm-hmm.
And
we had only known each other like
a month, and I'm like, I love you so much, and I'm like going off on it, and I'm just like, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, I love you so much, but I called my friends, and I'm like, the strongest ship in the fleet is friendship, and that I lived that through a podcast.
I'm so glad you found coffee.
Oh my god! Oh, when I called up Joe, my best friend from California.
Well, you were texting. I don't think you were.
I don't know. Yeah. I was hammered, dude. And I was just like, yeah, I'm so glad you found hockey, so we can talk about it. Like, because I never liked sports until I found hockey. But then I was talking to you on the phone, and I threw up all over myself. And I was drinking blue drinks. Some concoction they make that's blue and sugary.
Yeah.
And I threw up all over myself, so everything was blue. And I was like, I gotta go. Hung up on you. I just went right in the stripped off, went right in the shower. I woke up the next day with the worst hangover, and I have not gotten hammered since.
No.
I don't think
that was 5 years ago.
I think I can count on both hands how many drinks I've had since then.
Maybe one hand.
Maybe.
I've only... Because even if you open a drink, you'll have like 1 or 2 sips. I don't even think I've seen you finish a drink.
I can't even drink beer anymore.
No.
I'm like, hey, I'm done.
I'm good.
Yeah,
I remember what it was that I wanted to talk to you about. It has nothing to do with what we were talking about.
What?
So I think it was yesterday. On the way home. So I take the bus.
Yeah.
And it's typical commuter bus, little seats. Some of them have more leg room. I was in like a smaller seat row, and I was in the window because I get on fairly early. And I was thinking about, so a couple of episodes ago we were talking about like Me Too, and we've had a number of conversations just privately.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember because I was sitting there and this man came, older, I don't know, old man, not old, but like older than us, and came and sat next to me, and I was like, I had like all my stuff because I don't like when any part of my body touches someone else, like just because of things that have happened in my past, whatever, it just is, man or woman, it's a thing. So I am like pressed as far up against the window as I can, and he like, and the question that came into my, and I'm not trying to like go dark here, but like the question that came into my mind was, thinking about Me Too, thinking about men, what's okay, what's not okay, and women overreacting or not overreacting. So he man-spread, first of all. So he like
man-spread? What is that?
You don't know what man-spreading is?
No.
It's when a man sits like this.
In fairness, I sit like that all the time.
Well, you have a reason to. But
well, you got to tell them what my reason is. So if somebody sees me on a bus or something,
no,
it's my elephantitis of the nuts.
However, if you are on a bus, it doesn't matter. Be uncomfortable and close your dang legs.
It's uncomfortable.
If you're standing, it doesn't matter. So it didn't.
I move over.
You can. He was.
Oh no, I believe you. I'm not saying that.
So he was man-spreading. He had, like, when he first sat down, he was taught, I guess he knew one of the other guys who was on the bus, and they, like, chatted for a minute. And he kept, like, looking over at me. So I was reading my book, because I've been, trying not to look at my phone as much and reading books more. And he looked at me a couple of times, and I was like, whatever, the women will get it. It's fine. You just kind of ignore them and have a scowl on your face, so hopefully they'll leave you alone and think you're a mean person. And then, but he was like adjusting and like scratching himself a little more than I was comfortable with. But what can I do? Here I am, the bus, they turn the lights off on the bus. Because that's what they do during the commute so that people can rest. You have your overhead lights, which I had mine on because I was reading a book. and then like the way that he was man spread.
Yeah.
He had one hand, I don't know where, because I kept seeing his jacket move, and then he like opened his jacket to like rest his hand like on his stomach.
Okay.
And I went like the whole time I was just like, you know, am I overreacting already? Should I say something to him? I am uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like I am uncomfortable to the point where I'm now thinking that he, you know, based on how many times he's looking at me, but in my head I'm like, am I overreacting? You know, am I looking into this too much? Like, and so I wanted to bring it up because, you know, when some of the conversations that we've had, you have brought up, you know, well, I don't know. Like, it's hard for men to know one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you know, we won't know. As a woman, I wouldn't know until he crossed the line.
Mm-hmm.
And when do you speak up? When do you make a big deal? When do you voice your opinion that you're uncomfortable without being this erratic woman who's making it out to be more than it is? Because I was very uncomfortable. And it wasn't just uncomfortable where I was like, you're taking up too much room and I have to, you know, press my body against the window so that none of your body parts touch mine. Because that's my own thing. And I would never blame someone else because the seats are small. But if you keep looking at me and you're scratching yourself, maybe you have crabs. I don't know. You know, maybe it wasn't at me and I'm not conceited or big-headed enough to think that every man that sees me is going to start jacking off, you know?
No,
But,
I get it.
so that's what it was. When we were going over the things earlier, that's what it was.
It's hard to, like, I can't tell you how to handle it. Like, the only thing I can say is maybe move. Mind. Like, I know it sucks that a woman would have to move for this guy isn't a jerk. I almost cursed, so I was real back in. But this guy's a jerk. But unfortunately, sometimes that's just the way to do it. And that happens with men, too. Sometimes, like, yeah, I could challenge you, but I don't know what's going to happen if I challenge you. So it's better if I just walk away or move. And so it happens on a different scale. So, like, my best advice would be to, like, just move. Just make yourself comfortable by going somewhere else. Like, again, I know it sucks that you were in that spot first and this guy came in and took over. But your best bet is just let it go because there's so many crazy people in the world. Yeah. You don't know what's going through his head, you know? He might be looking for a fight. Right. He might be looking for you. It's like that bagel guy.
Right. You
know, who went in there to attack those women because he felt so jaded and hurt by women, and who gives a crap? Like, who cares? Like, but he specifically went in there to get screwed over and have an outburst and pick a fight. So, I mean, he'll never say that, right? But you can tell, like, that's what the guy's problem was. Right. So, with that, I would say your best bet is just kind of ignore and walk away. Yeah. Make yourself comfortable by getting away from that person. My personal feeling would always say, if you get away from that person, get away to a point where they have to be within eyeshot of you. Right. You know, so like they can't creep up on you. Right. But, yeah, it's such a strange situation because it is weird. It's weird, and I think it's a biological difference between men and women in the sense that, like, if some woman came in single, I'm single at this point, let's say. Some woman came in, and this is a different approach. So, like, I'm taking it from the point of view of, like, this woman's coming in to make me uncomfortable, or to even, like, kind of present themselves. That guy may have been, like, his way of presenting in a weird way, you know? And not saying, again, it's not right, but, like, so, like, if a woman did that, like, oh, is she hot? You know? And you may go for it. You know, because that's the way, it's a biological difference with guys. There's a reason 13-year-old boys who hit puberty have to hide behind their desks or hide behind books and stuff like that because they can't control their bodies, and we're always trying to control, and it's the evil ones that allow to be free of the control. Right. You know, to an extent, like, where we're not going to just take a woman or things like that. Like, you control it, and that's why I think, like, a lot of those cases are person by person cases. Who was this person? Yeah. Why was this person like this? Now, on another front, if it like married, and now this is I think the difference between men and women, inciting why men can do this and women can't, and it's unfortunate. It's a power structure, but like if a woman sat there and was doing that, and I'm married, and I'm like, I don't have anything to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
You're making me feel uncomfortable. I can do something to make them feel uncomfortable,
Right.
and maybe make them move, or if they're crazy, do something to try and protect themselves. Yeah, again, you never know. Somebody can pull out a gun and
Right.
or a knife and
Yeah.
just kind of take you out. But I have the capability to make somebody feel uncomfortable, even if it's another man doing it.
Right.
You know.
Sure.
Like, even if it's just like, dude, what are you doing? Touching yourself? It's so weird. But you say it out loud on the bus, and like he's
Right.
freaked out,
Right.
you know, or whatever. And that's the general consensus. They're going to get freaked out. Like, no, you know.
Yeah.
But you don't have that ability. You don't have that. Not that you don't have that capability. It's the ability.
I guess I could have done that. I mean, and I thought about doing that, but then.
But you're
that
most
goes-
likely going to get punched in the face by a
Correct.
man.
Correct.
You know, because
or I'm going to be looked at. It's not going to be, oh, what is this guy doing? He's going to be like, oh, what is this chick freaking out about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
or me too. You know, they're going to
Yeah.
take it in a sarcastic
Right.
way
exactly.
and try and put the crazy back on
Yeah.
you.
Which is the point of the movement. You know what I mean? Like that.
But that's
is-
also the sense, like when I was like, dude, what are you doing? Touching yourself? Like, that's something he can't step away from.
Right.
That's something if you said it in front of the bus. Now, I'm not saying say that again because you don't know how he's going to react, but I'm saying like if I had said that or whatever, if I say that to the bus, they're embarrassed. They're like, but it's still such a fundamental difference because it's like most likely they're not going to hit me back, but they might hit you
Yeah.
back because it's a power dynamic
Right.
that's very weird. So I don't know what the right answer is.
Yeah, I don't
the
know.
only answer I could say is if you feel uncomfortable and you can walk away, you should walk away.
Yeah, but it's hard because the bus is moving. You know, I've already had.
Oh yeah.
And it sounds so stupid. It's almost like, oh, well, he has my CD, so I can't leave him. But, like, you know, I was in the inside seat. You know, he, again, had made himself comfortable
Yeah.
on the outside. The bus was full. It may have been standing room only, if not close to that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you know, and it
But
was...
what's your comfort level? Because now your comfort level has to come down to, again, it's unfair.
No, I know.
But
I
you
don't
need to
know.
be safe.
Right. Yeah.
And unfortunately, in an unfair world, like a lot of people would argue with me and say, well, she shouldn't have to move. I get
Which, in a
that.
fair
She
world,
should not
correct.
have to move.
But I'm still
But in
my
a
own
world like
advocate.
this, if she
Mhm.
wants to be safe,
Right.
you're probably just going to have to move and stand somewhere.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's uncomfortable for you, it's unfair, and it sucks.
But
But life is unfair
Right.
at the same
It's
time.
almost
So
like-
it's
actually, you know, I'm kind of glad. So yes, but it's at the same vein. It's almost like being a pedestrian in DC. You know, a lot of these pedestrians, you know, if the hand goes green, they will just go without looking one way or the other.
yeah.
Now, as a general rule, I'm pretty sure pedestrians always have the right of way.
Yes.
But who's going to win, you or the car?
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
so like even though you're right, you still should look both ways.
Well, that's why it's honestly become a little more lenient going in that rule. Like, if the court looks at it and is like, all right, this person crossed and it may have been green, but if it wasn't, if it was red or something, like, they take things into account like that now, especially with so many cameras.
No, I know. I was making the comparison between what you were saying about, even though it's not fair.
I know, I went on a tangent
Yeah, I
on
know.
something else. No, I get it. I know that it's not fair. But with that, the only thing I could say is, like, in a situation like that, because you don't know your safety level where you're
Yeah.
going to be at,
Or who
your
this
best
person
bet-
is.
Your
Yeah.
best bet is to move. Yes, it's unfair. Yes, it sucks. Yes, it shouldn't happen. But men should do that too if they're in that
Yeah.
situation. Like, just move. Don't
Yeah.
start a fight. Don't do it because you don't know what's going to happen. Just move. It sucks. I know you want to stake your claim, and when it comes to men, mostly they just want to stake their claim. But you got to just kind of, it is what it is. But with that, I think we've talked about enough tonight. And
Which is funny because we didn't really have any agenda coming into this.
no,
so-
we really did. But we had some stuff. I did want to talk about Jojo Rabbit, but
That's fine.
next time we'll get to that.
If you haven't seen Jojo Rabbit, you should.
Oh, it's one of the best movies of last year.
Ever.
But
Yeah.
go into it thinking, okay, this does look like a sweet little story, but it is tough at
Yeah.
times. But
A lot.
And we are going to be doing a review show.
We
the two
are,
of us, a video
yes.
show, and we're going to start that this next coming week. And
Mhm.
this is a pick the name out of the hat. One of us gets to choose. One of us gets to choose what type of movie we're going to be watching, and then we go from there.
Yep.
You know, and it's just kind of at chance. We'll make it up as we go, and then we'll watch it, and then we'll review it.
Yep.
So stay tuned for that. That's going to be on the YouTube channel, but you can always find everything that we do, every podcast, every video, a whole 9 yards on thescenesnobs.com.
Yep.
I am at the Scene Snob on Instagram and Twitter. Mary, you are
Mary the Mommy.
Mary the Mommy.
Straight out of nap time.
Straight out of nap time on Instagram and Twitter. We have the Scene Snobs page on Facebook. Give us a like there. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us. The whole 9 yards. Just do it. It's fun. Trust me. We got a lot of stuff coming up.
That's right.
With that being said, we're going to say goodnight.
Good night.
Thank you for listening, and we look forward to hearing from you.
We do.
Have a good night, everybody.
See ya.